Hold up.
So I know a question that a lot of you guys have when it comes to Twitter is what the heck are the rules of Twitter? What are the unspoken or unwritten rules when it comes to etiquette? So we're going to talk a little bit about the etiquette on Twitter and how you can prevent yourself from being unintentionally offensive. So the first rule is going to have to do with repetition. This is something that a lot of Justin Bieber's fans do regularly. They repeat and retweet and post the same types of things over and over and over again with the hopes that they will get the attention of Justin Bieber or other Justin Bieber followers. Now, repetition is something that you don't want to be in violation of on Twitter, and that means posting the same types of tweets over and over again within a certain period of time. It could be a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Now, this isn't the same as posting your blog content or sharing your blog content. This specifically has to do with reaching out to people, responding to people. Just don't be repeating the same tweets over and over again, or you're going to turn off your entire following. Another has to do with auto messages. I know some people really like these. This is a messaging system or an auto bot that sends a welcome message to everyone who follows you or tweets you on Twitter. I personally find them to be a huge turnoff, and I know most people do. The reason being is that auto messages have been taken over by a spammy feel. That is, hey, thanks for the follow. Please follow me here too. It's a very me attitude versus a genuine greeting that's getting to know somebody. Now, that's not to say it's wrong to thank somebody for following you, but if you are going to use auto messages, please, please, please do not simply follow the typical template of thanks for the follow, hey, please follow me here, or hey, check out this. If you're going to do it, make sure that it feels really personalized. So that could be something like, hey, thanks for the follow. What are you working on today? Or something along those lines that's a little more conversational. But in general, most people see through auto messages, so I highly recommend avoiding it. And then follow, unfollow is something that has kind of changed over the years. Back in the earlier years of Twitter, people were following and unfollowing like crazy, and it ultimately turned a lot of people off to the follow, unfollow cycle. It's something you can still definitely do, but you're going to want to be a little bit more careful about how you approach the follow, unfollow cycle. So when you follow a group of people, try not to unfollow the people who follow you back, just for the reason that it can be really upsetting or frustrating to somebody to feel as though you baited them into following you. It's different than Instagram, because Instagram it's considered a little more acceptable, but on Twitter, people still take offense to that if you follow them only to unfollow them after they follow you. So just be careful with that follow unfollow cycle, and you'll make sure not to offend anybody. Arguments. On Twitter, there are so many opportunities for inflammatory comments. I know this because I worked on a campaign that was featured on Shark Tank, and people were personally attacking our company on Twitter. And there were so many opportunities for us to dive in there and argue or try to prove that we were right. But ultimately, you're not going to win an argument on Twitter. Facebook opens the doors for dialogue, whereas Twitter is kind of quippy one liners or witty one liners. Just don't get into arguments with people on Twitter because you'll be surprised by how quickly they can try to shut you down. It's just not something that I recommend. And trolls. On Twitter, there are quite a few trolls. Now, if you're not familiar with what a troll is somebody whose solo purpose on social media is to upset people. So they might make some rude comment. Let's say, for example, you post an image of yourself with your family. They could say something rude about your kids. But basically, a troll's goal is to upset you. And they have no real purpose in life other than that. Maybe they have a purpose in life, but not on social media. So when it comes to trolls, just completely ignore them. Engaging with trolls isn't something that I ever recommend, unless, of course, you're going to take the approach of making fun of the trolls publicly or having fun with it. But just remember, you're going to want a really thick skin because if you make fun of one troll, you're going to attract others. So just keep that in mind. And before you check out the next video, there's one other thing that I didn't make a note of within this slideshow. And that is when you are tweeting at somebody or mentioning somebody on Twitter. It's a weird flaw within the Twitter system, but if you do not put a period before their handle with the at sign, for some reason it only shows up in selected feeds. It's a weird etiquette thing, but when you are tweeting at somebody, it's important to remember to add a period right before the at sign in order to ensure that it is publicly viewed everywhere. And it also helps for influencers because they know that their responses are going to be viewed by everybody versus just being viewed between the two of you as a conversation. So that's a kind of interesting etiquette thing. It's something that influencers really, really prefer. So that is what I highly recommend. Now you are up to date with the latest Twitter etiquette, and I want to see you thrive. Don't be scared. You've got all of the foundations that you need. Now, in the next video, we are going to talk all about advanced Twitter tips. So I am ready. Let's dive in.